Howdy, y'all. Please buckle your seatbelts and keep your arms, legs, and soteriological differences inside the cart at all times, because this train wreck is going to 11. Wait, 17. No, it's 2018. Happy New Year from Not Another Baptist Podcast. A pod exploring all things church planting, church revitalization, McRibs, baseball being better than literally everything else, and other Southern Baptist topics we decide to explore. I'm Matt Hensley, and I serve as a pastor of Mayhill Baptist in the North Pole of New Mexico. And I'm joined, as almost always, by Kyle, the pastor of First Baptist Alamogordo. But we have a return guest today because he didn't get enough last time and is a glutton for punishment, and most assuredly a glutton because he's a Baptist. Amen. But we have John Dowling with us again, who is, of course, as we've shared before, a fake pastor of Bethel Baptist in Alamogordo, Bethel Mega Baptist Church in Alamogordo. Kyle?
Yep. Hey, it's a new year, right? And a lot of folks, that means New Year's resolution. So, like, I want to eat better. I want to exercise. I want to lose some weight.
And you fail every single time. Now, hopefully not. But I do hope, and I do look forward to buying somebody's New Year's resolution treadmill, like in a couple of weeks, a couple of months from now, when they've already given up. It's already on sale, like half off because they didn't follow through. Anywho, it's a time of new beginnings. It's a time of fresh starts and kind of a chance to hit a reset button of sorts on really all things. And I guess we might as well start there, John. Any resolutions that you want to share with us?
Well,
besides looking better,
as a glutton, well, I can't look any better than I already do. Nice. You can't teach gorgeous, but as a glutton, I could probably afford to lose 20 pounds, and I only have 30 more to go. So that'd be great. Right. Maybe I'll resolve to eat a waffle every day or run a mile every day, but I feel like that's already been done. But this year, I really resolved to spend more time with my family. As in ministry, that sometimes gets neglected, and I have been as guilty in that as anybody. Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, let's see. So I started a weight loss journey last year, and that kind of hit a skid around the holiday time.
No wonder. Pumpkin spice latte. Count the reason.
I didn't really gain back, but I kind of stalled out. So I'm looking to resume that. I've got about 10, 15, 20-ish pounds still to go. So about halfway there.
Yeah. Okay. Depending on who you ask, it's 20.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, I'm resoluting, if that's a word, that the Houston Astros will win the World Series again. And also, like everybody else really in this podcast, to get back in shape. He mentioned the whole waffle every day. I focused really on the waffle this year and not so much on the running.
So you waffled in your running?
I waffled with my running a little bit. Nice.
Thank you.
Terrible joke. But before moving to Mayhill, I was running anywhere from 60 to 80 miles a week and weighing about 150 pounds. And now I'm lucky to run maybe 10 or 11 miles a week and weighing more than 150
Well, the air's thinner in Mayhill, right?
The air's thinner, yeah. So I'm lighter. Is that how that?
Right.
Is that how that?
Let's go with that.
I'm 150 pounds in my left leg.
Yeah. And but we got to get that in gear for sure. But my other New Year resolution is for JD Greer to be the SBC president. That's a topic for another day.
They're coming emails already. I can hear.
Well, we had plenty last week with the speak out.
So the New Year's is also a time when a lot of churches share a new or a renewed vision for their church, or reaffirm, kind of get an old one rolling again. Maybe set some goals or look back at 2017, see how God prepared them for where they are right now in 2018. And we've got a pretty, as we've already mentioned, well-rounded bunch in a couple of different senses. So I've been at First for just over a year and a half. John's been at Bethel for 7.5, right?
Longest tenured youth pastor in
New Mexico. I believe so.
Yeah. Awesome.
Can I have your autograph?
Wow. Afterwards, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And we've been giving
him. You can sign my hat.
We've been giving
this is Jared's hat.
That's right. That's Jared Bridge, Anchor Church.
Yeah.
We've been giving him we've been giving John the hard time about being the fake pastor, and he's got the tenure on us here. So, and then Matt, of course, you're the newcomer among us. You're finishing up your 10th month in Mayhill. So let's start by looking back. Matt, talk about your first few months in Mayhill as you're getting ready to wrap up the first year.
Well, Mayhill, the short answer is it's been awesome. It's been an absolute blessing.
Amen.
Coming from pastoring a church that thought a highway cleanup sign was all you needed to do to share the good news, in a church that was much more inwardly focused, coming to a church and being able to lead a church out and being more outwardly focused has just, it's been the greatest gift I was given in 2017. It's been such a joy. It's been awesome to serve a church that sees itself as part of something much bigger than itself. And
awesome.
we've had a ton of folks join. We've had 7, maybe 8 baptisms. We've gone from 40 to 50 on Sundays in worship to around, or as much as 168, but
Wow.
averaging about 100 to 120.
And what's the population of Mayhill?
Population of Mayhill is 51 before we came, and we turned it to 57. So there's not a whole lot of
Twice as
folks
much
here.
as the
That's right.
population.
Yeah,
That's right.
and but we've also
awesome.
sent about 35% of our budget outside of our 4 walls to the different North American Mission Board, IMB. And so it's really neat to see our small, tiny church in a tiny, small, seemingly insignificant town see themselves as something much bigger, or a part of something much bigger than themselves. And the folks there have just been easy to love, because they've loved on us. They've welcomed our girls into their families. It seems like our girls now have like 20 grandmas and 20 grandpas that all are just vying for their attention and so forth. So it's been really, really neat to be welcomed as our own, and they're easy to love. Kyle, what about Alamo? How was 2017?
Yeah, so that was 2017 was my first full year here, and we saw some great things happen. We were able to reach some young families from our Air Force Base here in town, and really it was slow going the first few months, but we've really seen God do some great things the past year, and really the past 6 months or so. So we're thrilled about what's going to happen in 2018. I don't know how much I've shared about kind of the situation our church is in. We had quite a bit of debt, and we're in the process right now of unloading some of that land and paying down some of that debt. So yeah, man, things are looking up in 2018 for sure. Now, John, 2017 was different for Bethel. So tell us about your year there. And
2017 was an exciting year, surprisingly exciting. We had a pastor who left in August of 2016, and he had been there for 9 years, Pastor Howell Scott, and was a wonderful pastor at Bethel, and I had worked with him for about 6.5 years at that point. And so that with a pastor, a long-term pastor being leaving the church, there was a lot of trepidation, a lot of maybe fear, and we decided as a church that we would step out in faith and not fear. And God just has blessed us so much in 2017, in a time, in a season where you might expect people to withdraw. It just the opposite happened. And we saw attendance go up. We saw baptisms go up in 2017. We saw commitments to servants, and our deacon leadership and a lot of our other leaders have stepped up. Even our giving has escalated in a way that was completely unexpected. And our youth ministry right now is even running more than it ever has in the 65 years that Bethel has existed. Cool. And so we are excited for what God is doing in 2018, because we're trusting that God is going to continue to do great things as he did in 2017, where it was unexpected. Now we're expecting it. And so we're excited for that.
Yeah. And I believe if I remember our conversation before this, right, you have a candidate for pastor coming pretty soon, right?
Yeah,
and
he'll be here in view of a call, and he's actually from our church, and so we know he loves our church. We know he loves Alamogordo and serving there, and so he'll be in call this Sunday. So you be praying for that.
We will certainly. I know that Kyle and I will be praying. Not another Baptist train wreck, listeners. We ask you to pray for Bethel as well in the coming weeks and months. Kyle, we talked back, we looked back at 2017. I think all of us can say it was a lot more than we ever expected. God did a lot more than we could ever comprehend, as he always does. But now looking ahead and dreaming up, dreaming big, all of that kind of stuff, what do you foresee in your crystal ball? We're just kidding. What does your magic 8 ball tell you for 2018?
Yeah, that's right. So in 2017, our goal, or our theme for our church for the year was wherever, whenever, whatever. good Baptist alliteration, but
well done.
Right. But like I said, as I stepped into our first full year, still a lot of debt and not a lot of people. And we, and I told our folks then, I said, look, we've got to lay everything out and we're going to follow wherever the Lord leads us and whatever he leads us to. So in 2018, we have 3 parts to our kind of purpose statement. It's love, serve, give. And there are 2 parts to the love. It's love God completely, love others compassionately. And so that's really where I want to focus 2018 is on us learning to love God more in response to the way that he's loved us and in showing that love to other people. And so even though the theme isn't on the serve aspect of things, that's going to play itself out in some very specific service projects that we're looking at for the year. So again, like you said, it's all about trying to turn what's kind of an inwardly focused church because of some stuff that happened more outward and getting them to look out into the community. So how about the frozen tundra up on the hill?
The frozen tundra. I didn't go alliteration this year.
Oh, okay.
I went acronym.
Oh, okay.
And
it's
just as Baptist.
It's
just as Baptist. But we're going to aim to set the pace in 2018 using the acronym. Yeah, that's a new.
You don't talk good, term. Y'all.
I don't do words good. I don't do much of anything good. But we're using the pace as prayer, assimilation, church planting, and evangelism, as I've either found those to be some of our weaknesses, things that we could improve upon, or things we really want to invest in. For example, our prayer meeting right now runs anywhere from 4 to maybe 7 on a good day. Yeah, you're not the only one, brother.
That's what we got too.
And the mega church.
4 to 7.
But I'm going to work on overdrive to give prayer to really help prayer become a vital DNA aspect of our church. Like, we are going to be a praying church. Everything that we do is going to be led out in prayer. We're going to lead out in some daily prayer initiatives. We're going to take part in the church planning the 40 days of prayer deal coming up, and just where they can see that it's not just something that we do after a sermon or before we eat or something like that. This is our lifeline to God. And so I want to encourage that with our people. The other one is a word that our people may not have ever heard of, and outside of maybe the church speak world, maybe not know of all of the assimilation side of church ministry. But we have some folks that have visited for weeks upon months, even some that have visited years upon years, yet have never joined. And they do sometimes serve, some don't. But not only will we be pushing and teaching biblical church membership, but we're also going to encourage each and every member of our church to have a ministry that they're a part of. And then I've shared before about our emphasis on church planting coming up this year with the 4% that's going to go out each month for church planting. The other part of that really coincides with that last letter, E, for evangelism, is really equipping our folks to evangelize. We shared a little bit about that last week. However disastrous that was, but we're going to be training our folks and look for opportunities where our folks can go maybe to the church plant that we partner with and help them with a project, maybe go door to door with them, whatever they want to do, because we are here after all to make disciples. And if we're not, then we're kind of wasting our time, if not really a church in the first place. Then we're a fake church with a fake youth. but anyway, I'm asking God to raise up in our church an army of folks that are equipped and active in sharing their faith every day. That's our pace. What about Bethel? I know some of that is a little bit uncertain, but some of it sounds like you're pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's somewhat contingent on the hiring of a new pastor, but none of this is contingent on a single man.
Right.
And we know that. I think we know that even more now as a church because we've seen how God has worked in 2017. I know that a couple emphases we're going to have emphasize. Okay. Are going to sounds like a disease. A few things that we're going to focus on are prayer as well. We're going to focus on prayer and
on which we will focus.
On which I thought you didn't speak gooder, right?
To whom? What?
To whom we're going to pray for, with which. Then we're going to focus on prayer as well, and not just prayer becomes so just route in how we do it, and
Yeah.
it just becomes a habit. Not in a good way, though.
Yeah.
And so we want it to become part of our DNA, something we're actively doing. Remember who we are praying to, the sovereign God reigning supreme over all the
Absolutely.
universe,
Yeah.
instead of just prayer by memory through before our meals and at the beginning of service, and just inputting it so that we can transition between the songs and the sermons. We've really got to make prayer a foundational key element of our worship and our individual lives. The other thing I know that our church is really starting to look towards is being missional in everything that we do. I don't want this to sound inappropriate, but I think a lot of our churches are tired of incestual ministry, where we give to the church just so that we can get from the church.
Yeah.
And instead, we want to be able to give to the church our gifts, our tithes, our talents, so that we can give to the community and to the ends of the earth. So church planting, church revitalization, partnering with men throughout the state and other churches throughout this world, and globally focusing on doing more outside of our church. It's not about what we can do. We're really good. Many churches are really good at inreach.
Yeah.
We're really good at making a holy huddle.
Yeah.
It's time to start getting out of that.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, honestly, you can talk about fake pastors, but it starts with some of our student ministry.
Absolutely.
Our students are passionate about missions and service, and I think that gets contagious within the church. So,
And I think one of the probably foremost things that I learned at school was that we have to be the lead worshiper. We have to be the lead prayer. We have to be the lead, lead in all of it. Not in that we're running everything. You may, I don't know if you sing or not, but you may not be able to sing or need to. If you sing as beautiful as you look, I'm sure it's horrible. No,
this is getting very uncomfortable.
Sorry, Kyle, you're in the middle of all this. But seriously, where we are kind of charting that course for our folks, where if we're not leading the singing, that we're right there in it. Like it's hard for me because I want to kind of look over my notes one last time and make sure I've got everything ready to go. But I realize that there are people that
are looking at you.
need my modeling of that right worship and so forth. And the same thing with prayer. If we're up there after our sermon or after our music or just using transition prayers to get the time moving by, then our people are probably going to be praying the same way too.
That's right, sure.
And so Kyle, I think I had planned on doing the outro this time.
Since I botched
since you botched last one, will you send us out this time? Do it right.
You
We're
got it.
counting on you.
You got it,
You can
Kyle.
do it,
Here we
Kyle.
go.
You got it.
So if you haven't already, give us a 5-star review on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Not Another Baptist Podcast, or on Twitter at NAB_podcast. You can also check us out at NotAnotherBaptistPodcast.com.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, John. It's always great when you're here. And so until next time, may your coffee be as black as night and as bold as the gospel you proclaim.
Yes.
Yay.